Good evening. Welcome to my live stream, Fight CPS, Stop Taking Our Children. I'm your host, Bob Pace. Now, the sun is still high in the sky, but hopefully my adjustment is okay. Now, I have some people that said, okay, great. Well, welcome to my live stream. I'm here to talk about the child protection system. It's a government entity found in every state. Every state has counties, and in each county, they have a CPS, social services. There are 3,144 counties, I believe. So there must be 3,144 CPS entities. Now, I've talked to about 2,600 people from around the United States, every 50 states, and including 30 countries. About 100 people outside of the US I've talked to, and about 2,500 I've talked to the US, and 100% of them say CPS is bad. With that knowledge, I am very conservative to say that 50% of any CPS agency that you encounter in the United States is bad. And that is bad if you think about that. You think about that. Now, how to determine that? I've been doing this now for 2.5 years. All 2,600 people have said CPS is awful. They said the police was awful. It was troublesome there too. So I'm glad that you found me. We have 7 Facebook pages hooked up to this live stream, and we have 1 YouTube. So that's a total of 8 rooms. And that's how you pretty much found me. So I'm glad you did. Now, if you're going to talk on the show, which is the best part of the show, I want you, to state your first name and the city and state you're located. And if you're outside the city and if you're not in the United States, but you're one of the other countries, the city in your country. Yes, I welcome everybody that has problems with the Child Protection Agency. It's a very, very, very bad agency. I too was a victim of it. My children were trafficked into foster care. They're abused in foster care. Many children are abused in the child protection system. They're given drugs that the social workers are not even a doctor to administrate the drugs to children. Children run away, end up being in sex trafficking. It's really sad because, families, studies have shown the best people to raise kids are the biological parents. And if you have some hiccups through reunification by parenting classes, programs such as drug rehab, or even domestic violence, you can be cured, you can be fixed. No need to suddenly think, oh my goodness, the parents are bad. If they make mistakes, they can be corrected. Now, the ones that do physical abuse and stuff, there's abuse classes, programs too. Sometimes people don't control their anger. They hurt children and they use corporate punishment. Today, we use something called timeout, and adults should do that too. Hello, James. You're from Nova Scotia, Canada. So glad to have you, James. I have a lot of people from Canada, Ontario, Nova Scotia, Alberta, a lot of the provinces there. And I'm so glad you're here. Nova Scotia, Canada is where our second immigrants settled in North America. Those were the Vikings. They landed there in Nova Scotia. There's Tony the Tiger from Wantanego, New York. It's an Indian name she lives in. And she says, good evening, Tony. I'm glad to see you. She has a 14-year-old son that's been abused and many times over abused. What is your case about, James? I'm here to help you. I am here to help you. Now, I have a ticket running at the bottom of my screen that says, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not Mr. Davis, but I can help you because I have worked 2.5 years of doing this, listening to people. Plus, I too was a victim, and I've been fighting CPS since 2000, and I believe it's 2014. And in 2015, they kidnapped my children and took them in. That's the MO of them. Okay. One anta. One ata. I'll get it right, Tony, one of these times. One ata. I used to call it Ostanego, but it's not that. It's one ata. It's got to be an Indian name like that. And probably Choctaw. Maybe the Choctaw Indians were in that neighborhood in New York way long time ago, about maybe, 400 years ago. I don't know in your area that much about there. But I have one of my family members, Tony the Tiger, in here. She's a beautiful young lady that's gone through a lot of anguish. She has to hide her identity because they're after her all the time. Now, I'm trying to avoid the sun on my chin here because it's still bright sun. I'm really surprised. It's 6 o'clock California time. It's 9 o'clock New York time where Tony is. Tony is 9 p.m. after 9 p.m. There's a 3-hour difference between West Coast and East Coast. There's also Central Time is 2 hours like Texas. Then 1 hour like Montana. In Arizona, I get confused with them. I don't think they do daylight savings time or anything like that. I think it's the same time year round. I wish we were. I wish we were, instead of spring forward and falling back. I wish we'd stay on the, maybe because the sun comes out longer and people want to come home and still have daylight to be with their families. Maybe that's why they spring forward, to enjoy a little bit of daylight. Yeah. She says, or, oh, it's one yata. I see Ostego. Ostego. Anyway, it's an interesting town. I have to learn more about it since you're one of my family members. Now, someone wrote a nicely message here, so I'm going to read it. And I'm also going to put it up on the screen so you all can see it. James says, actually here for one of my friends. She's a mother who lost her kids in 2019. That's about 6 years ago. She was abused and she had just gave birth before CPS took her kids. So she suffered postpartum depression. One of her sons died in 2020 in her care after she had gotten her kids back. Oh no, that's terrible. She didn't intentionally cure her son, and now she's going to jail soon. Oh boy, what happened? James, that's a horrific story. She's going to jail. How many children are we talking about? How many children she's talking about? She must have at least 2 kids. She gave one at birth, just going being taken in there, and then she had her sons back and then died in her care. Wow. What'd they finally do, or what did they finally say? Now, Tony says she's going to be put in jail or a hospital Tuesday, but I know it's just to shut me up. Why would they put you in jail? Why would you be put in the hospital? What are you doing, Tony? You're trying to get your son back. You're trying to get your son back. You're trying to get your son back. Now, James, I forgot where you're from. James is from He's from Nova Scotia, Canada. That's right, James. James says the child protection system has mentally affected this mother's mental health. I believe she has at least 5 at the time in total. She was doing fine before CPS came around. Well, what was the allegation when CPS came around? What was the allegation? That's a lot of children. That's a lot of children. What criminal charges do you have, Tony? What criminal charges have you been accused of? Don't you have a trial? Aren't you supposed to have a trial? Now, Tony says that's the reason they put a criminal charge to begin with, because I posted the video with Dr. I don't know who that person is, Dr. Karaz. He's your brother. Actually went on my Facebook and made a comment under his wife's profile saying that me. Were you framed by your brother, by a family member? Is that what happened? Is that what happened? Dr. Carntez. Posting videos like that is only going to, what kind of a video did they post? What did your brother do? What kind of, that's very interesting. And James, what has she been charged with her crime? Was she charged with murder of her child? James is from Nova Scotia. Tony is from New York. What was happening? The mother was financially abusing her. Her father, how would her father financially abuse her? Mentally and emotionally. Tony, not tonight. I wish you could. If you call in, you'll not knock me off because I'm using a phone device and I don't have my computer up and running yet. And if you call in, then it knocks me out of this live chat. So I can't take a phone number. We can only do texting right now at the moment. But we will do phone calling soon. We will do phone calling soon. So, James, can you tell me more? Same thing, Tony. Tell me more. I need to know what the actual criminal charge is for both you and James. You know, it's 2 different cases. James is calling about a friend of his that has a mother that has 5 children, and one of them was killed. And I'm not sure if she did the killing or she was careless and the killing happened accidentally. I don't know, but she's going to go to jail. Now, one thing I'm going to do is always tell you that the key to success in fighting CPS is an attorney. Just like open heart surgery, you're going to get a doctor to do it. You're not going to have a mechanic, or a plumber work on your heart. You're going to have a real doctor. Well, you need an attorney to work against CPS. You need an attorney that has experience in dependency law, family law, and juvenile law. One that's been fighting CPS for a lot of years. I have an attorney that works for me. His name is Vincent W. Davis. And I hired him to help defend me and get my kids back. And he can be reached at 888-888-6582. There's a ticket at the bottom of my screen that has his number. It's also a red thing, but I think our comments are blocking the number. It's 888-888-6582. Now you reach his law office of Vincent W. Davis. When you speak to reception, tell them that Bob Pace sent you and that you want to speak with Mr. Davis. And they'll make arrangements with Mr. Davis. And so you can talk to him. When you talk to Mr. Davis, make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. It's really important. So Tony has 3 felonies and 2 misdemeanors. You had your paperwork the other night, but you never got to tell me. James says his friend was charged with manslaughter. Wow, that's heavy. She threw him, but didn't mean she apparently. Her son was 17 months, I think. Well, yeah, that's one of the problems. That is definitely physical abuse. And if that killed him, it would. A 17-year-old child is developing. Their body's soft. Their bones are soft. Their brain's developing. Throwing them down on the ground or against the wall is a no-no. That is tough. That is tough. Now, Tony says she's on her 4th attorney. My last one actually told the grievance committee that I threatened that said mental health counselor that I named above. Well, I thought that was your brother. You told me that Dr. So-and-so was your brother. Now I'm really confused, Tony. Let me go back there where I saw that. You talk about Dr. Karenz. My brother actually went on my Facebook. Well, was that your brother, Dr. Karenz, or is that somebody else? I'm confused. So I said that video to the grievance committee in the conversation with that counselor. He actually said I was right on the things I was saying. So it makes CPS them look stupid. Well, yes, hopefully that helps you out. And James from Nova Scotia says his friend, she didn't mean to though. Well, why'd she pick up a child and release them? That's a fit of anger. That's a fit of frustration, or maybe she has mental issues. You never pick up a 17-year-old and throw them because they can get damaged, they can get hurt, and that's sad. I know maybe she didn't mean to do it, she was angry, but it's sad because she has to pay for her sins. That's what that's all about. She's being sentenced for killing a 17-year-old baby. But when she's incarcerated, she does really good, behaves herself. Maybe she'll be out. I don't know how long her prison sentence is. Now, Tony says, no, my brother is George. Well, who's Mr. Kraz? Is he the guy that did the video? He made a comment under that video I posted under his wife's name. Okay, there's a video shown by this counselor. And what does the video show? Cheryl threatened me that my situation is going to get worse for their posting a video like that. So why would your brother post that video by that guy what does the video show? What's it about? Now, James from Nova Scotia said, there's more of the story. I don't know everything. She wasn't angry. That's all I know. Well, still the baby's dead. Still the baby's dead. When we commit things in life, now maybe she's not charged with manslaughter because she didn't intentionally do it. She did it in a fit of anger or she lost control. But still, that baby's dead and she'll have to pay a price. Anyway, James, I'm so glad you brought that to me. James is from Nova Scotia, Canada. I don't know why. Okay. I'm trying to keep the sun, but the sun is setting in the west. And it's going to go through the window. So now Tony said, so before I could do therapeutic counseling, I had to go see the counselor, and the CPS let them pick this counselor, but the counselor didn't know that I was recording our session. Well, if you're in private, In his office, it's against the law unless you notify him. The only time you can record somebody is if you're in a public place or they told you can. But after he found out, he said, my family needed more help than he could offer. I think he got scared. That's what Tony is saying. Well, I know, James, about religion. God is only paying the price. But what was she charged with? Manslaughter or neglect? I mean, what was the charge for killing her baby? And again, judges make decisions. People serve their time. Judges make decisions. Attorneys, there's usually a prosecutor and defense attorney. They fight over the evidence and try to determine if the person that committed it should be found guilty or not, and then also the sentencing. What is she sentenced for? What is she sentenced for? Now, Tony says, but one of those things was preventive worker kept telling me that I needed to give 2-week notice of my son's mental health appointments. I don't know about this 2-week notice. I mean, if that's what she said, but I would think, a week notice be ample time or something. I said to the preventive worker, I don't know who he's talking to, but Medicaid transportation only needs 3 days. Then I said, it's not like my son in the PA, that my worker stops messaging me. Yeah, there's a lot of communication problem there, Tony. It really is. Now, Tony says in the video, it's the counselor agreed with me that you don't need 2 weeks. The counselor also says that my father was the one bringing my son for these appointments. So it was a biological father. Are you and the father together? Where does the father fit in your situation here? Maybe if I turn this way, it'd be better, I guess. Maybe that's better. So Tony says from New York, so my case, everybody's lying about everything. And that's why when I have any action with all these people, any government officials, I record. I have to because I don't feel safe. Well, don't react with them. Have your attorney present. One can't afford one, then insist that attorney that's court appointed to be there and try to be in a public place or tell them up front you're recording. That's what you need to do, Tony. That's what you need to do. That's a shame that all your calls, because that's illegal wiretapping. They can't do that unless they have a court order or you've been put on notice. Tony says the father's not involved and hasn't been involved since my son was 3 months old. And he hasn't been in any of the court appointments either. He hasn't been involved at all. So he wants nothing to do with his child, his son. He wants nothing to do with his son. We have James from Nova Scotia, Canada, and we have Tony the Tiger from Ostenago, New York. I'm killing the accent on that. Now, Tony says she records my calls, power in New York State. They say as long as one party knows the recording's going on, that's all that matters. Wow, I didn't know that. So they don't have to tell you that they're recording your calls. That's crazy. That's crazy. When anyone else is in this room, I'd love to hear from your question or your comment. All I ask is that give me your first name and the location, city and state. And if you're outside the United States, a country, you can do city and country. Now, Tony further says the father of a child says he's okay with my parents adopting and taking over custody of my sons. Well, why don't you want to have custody of your sons? Why would you give up custody? Why you want? I mean, it's nice that your parents can temporarily take care of your son till you're done with your criminal court and your CPS court, but you should not let them adopt them. They can temporarily take care of them in foster care. They can be the foster parents for your son. I gotta take the dog out. I'll be back. Okay. Dog has to go. Dog has to go. All right, Tony. Take your dog out and do his business. Anyway, we have Tony the Tiger talking about her case. She has criminal charges in a CPS case. She has a son now, it's 14. The father hasn't cared about him since he was 4. So he's not involved with the scenario, but she is. But apparently someone made a video that makes her look bad or whatever. And she's trying to fight a lot of issues. She has criminal charges and CPS issues. And James is trying to help out a friend of his that inadvertently killed one of her 5 children. A baby was thrown to the wall of the ground and died. The baby was picked up and thrown in a fit of anger, I guess. Now, the rest of you in here, I'd love to hear a comment from you or a question about CPS. We want to stick with CPS. That's our topic, the Child Protection System. It's a government entity that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse, but also supposed to do family reunification. That means put families back together through parenting classes and program classes like domestic violence or drug rehab. So Tony's out walking her dog, and the rest of you, I love the 3 hearts and 3 of you sent me hearts. I don't know how many, and thumbs up. I love the emojis. I love the smiley faces, and I love the stars too. So more emojis, the better off. I'd love to hear some comment from there. Now, James from Nova Scotia, do you have anything further to tell me? James is from Canada, and so he's talking about a friend of his. What state is she in? James, where is she located? Now, manslaughter is a pretty serious offense. I don't think that's accidental. Manslaughter is that she intentionally wanted to kill the child. But what I'm getting at, she wanted to set the child free. Okay, must be a long walk for Tony. I don't know what kind of dog she has, but the rest of you, I'm looking for questions or comments. All you have to do is give me your first name and then your city and state. And if you're outside the United States, your city and country. Now, I have 5 rules developed, and they are: rule number 1, get an attorney. You have to get an attorney. Rule number 2, organize your documents. Start a journal. Also, start a timeline incident form. Then 3, don't let social workers in the door. Don't talk to them. Whatever you do, don't make any promises. Now, I have half past the hour. My show will be over in 20 minutes. But I do want to help you. Over 50% of the CPS are bad. Same way with the police. But I don't know how many police, I don't know how many cities. I think each city has a police station. So we must have 50 police stations. But each state has a police station per city. Right now, we've been talking to James. Are you still around, James, from Nova Scotia? Um, are you still around, James? He's from Nova Scotia, Canada. Now, I mentioned earlier that that was the place where the second immigrants came to the United States from North America. It wasn't Christopher Columbus. Up into the 60s, it was believed that he discovered North America. Instead, he discovered an island in the Caribbean off Bahamas. He called the indigenous people, the native people, Indians. That's where the term Indian got in North America. Now, in Canada, they call their Indians the First Nation people. We call our Indians in North America the Native American Indians. Now, as I see more people come in the room, all I'm asking is your first name, your city and state where you're located. Also, I'm looking for the county. Excuse me, if you're outside of the United States, it's the country, the city and country. But James, are you still with me? I don't see anything more. James was talking about a friend of his that got charged with manslaughter for killing one of her 5 children. I think that child was 17 months old, and she, out of anger or something, threw the child down or against the wall. The child's dead. It died of his wounds. So that's sad. I mean, the mother probably did not intend it, but that's still a serious offense. Now the sun is slowly setting. Good. So it's not so bright anymore on my chin. But I do the show 3 times a day. One at uh, 8 o'clock in the morning. Next one at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The next one at 6 p.m. in the evening. Now Tony's out walking her dog. She's from New York, and her case is really bad too. She has two felonies and or 3 felonies and 2 misdemeanors. She has 5 criminal charges as well as CPS charges too. Now it's sort of stopped here because no one's talking, and I can move on and talk about my rules or my experience in CPS. What one would you like to hear? The 5 rules or my involvement with CPS? I'm trying tricking you guys to talk. This show is really great when you guys talk and interact, but when you do nothing, and then it gets very boring and tiring and people go to sleep. It's a very boring material. It's very sad material. Um, I was shifting my camera angles. I'm sorry for the blur movement for a little bit there. But I do want to help you. And my 5 rules are quite simple. If I'd done these myself, I would have never lost my children. Rule 1 is you got to get an attorney. And I've said that more in emphasis because without an attorney, you won't be able to beat CPS. They're powerful, they lie, they cheat, and they embezzle money. You need to get the right kind of attorney too. You need to get a dependency law, family law, and juvenile law attorney. Training those three areas. I have an attorney. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He works for me. He has a lot more than those three areas of law. He's also a criminal attorney and is a trial attorney. He's also a civil attorney. He's done lawsuits against CPS in the millions. He's won his cases. When your case is over, he'll help defend you in your case. Well, I don't know if anybody is interested in asking me a question, comment. I'd like to have one. We have less than 20 minutes left. It's already half past till. I mean, 13 minutes left. My show ends at 9 o'clock. Excuse me, at 7 o'clock, 1900 hours. And I really like to help you, but in order to help you, I need either a comment or a question, and your name and your location, your city and state. If you're outside of the United States, your city and country. But so many cases are very similar in countries than they are in the U.S. It's almost like they're parallel, and the problems they're having. So I'd say 50% of all CPS entities in the United States are bad news. You don't know if you're going to get a good one or a bad one. It's 50-50 out there, 50-50. Um, anyway, I'm talking a little bit about my rules. I said rule number one is to get that attorney. And it's hard sometimes to pay the money. I know it is. I had to sell my favorite home so I could hire Mr. Davis. But creative financing is one way. Also, legal insurance. People don't understand you get legal insurance for fighting CPS or for a drug alcohol problem. Now, I don't know if Tony's going to come back or not. Our dog may have taken a long hike. I don't know what happened to James from Nova Scotia, but I hope you're all right, James. I want to help you. The rest of you, I'd love to hear from you. All I ask is your name, your city, and your state. And then if you're outside the United States, your city and country. Your city and country. Now, I put the most recent topic up on my left, like right here. Okay. Now we have about 9 minutes left before I have to go. And not that I don't want to, I can sit here and talk all the time, but it gets very dry and in the hot sun. You know, I'm broadcasting this live from south of Los Angeles, a place called Surf City, USA. I'm 3 blocks from the ocean. I lost power again, so I'm out in my mobile home, transferring in front of my apartment. But I'm having the toughest luck with internet and electricity, and I guess a lot has to do with how often are they getting paid on timely? So right now, um, I have internet, but I have an internet bill that's far too expensive that I can't pay. Hmm. Do any of you have any comments or questions? I like to finish off with something that can help you guys. I'm on 3 times a day, 8 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 6 o'clock in the evening. Now, if you go to England, you guys are 8 hours ahead of me. If you go to Europe, you're then are 9 hours ahead of me. Same goes for Africa. Australia, you're 15 hours ahead of me the next day. It gets so confusing keeping track of people and what time zones are on. Hmm. Um, as I was talking about my rules, I did mention the attorney. Now, rule number 2 is the documentation. You need a notebook to organize everything. You need tabs so you can find things easily. You want to group things that are common, like your drug tests would go in one tab. Then your parent certificates would go another tab. Your program certificates would go another tab. Your court papers from the courthouse would go another tab. Your social worker papers would go another tab. Anything else you need to be split apart. Furthermore, not only are you supposed to get the biggest notebook, like 6 inches thick, 3 ring, you're supposed to develop 2 things for keeping track. One is called an instant log, and you use 3 lines on a sheet of lined paper. It could be notebook paper, it could be a journal, it could be any kind of book that's got lined paper in there. So what you do is you fill out the first line, the date and time, and the where it's located, either the address or the telephone number. Then you put down what was talked about, and then you access that point. Now, remainder time we have 5 minutes, and I guess Tony's not coming back, which is okay. They talked early. James from Nova Scotia has disappeared, and I see a bunch of you in the room, but no one says anything. Again, a comment or a question, your first name, your city and state. If you're outside of the country, your city and country. But I do care about you. I do want to help you. I've been doing this now for 2.5 years. I've talked to over 2,600 people. 100 of them have been from other countries. It's a hard thing when they come knocking at your door. Now, we're talking about paperwork. That rule number 2, I forgot to mention, you want to have a journal that you can write to your kids, because they need to hear about what you're going through your mind, so they're missing that part of life. So you just make it general, and then put stuff in there as you feel comfortable, and then you add more and more, and he will take it in stride. Now, since there's not much talking here, I'm going to go ahead and end my show. I want to thank you very, very much. Tony just signed off. And Tony says, have a great, wonderful, and blessed night, family. Well, God bless you, Tony. And we visit a neighbor on the way. Okay. All right. Well, a new person, Allison Gray from Plower, Wisconsin. Welcome. And I'm glad to see you here, Allison Grand. But I'm ready to close my show. It's already close to 7 o'clock. I need to end it. I'll be on again tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, and then again at 1 o'clock, and again at 6 o'clock. So I'd like to hear from you. So thank you, Allison Graham from Plower, Wisconsin, Tony from Ostenago, New York, and James from Nova Scotia, Canada. So we had quite an interesting group here. Don't give up on your child. Come back here before you do. Also, God bless you. And there's a video that follows me. Watch that video, all right? So take care. God bless. And good night. This is Bob Pace signing off.
A vivid picture is encrypted in your mind as the critics get in line like they're witnessing a crime. But then you notice there's a shiver in your spine from the feelings of discontentment and bitterness combined. Heartbroken when you listen to the judges, another kid's innocence corrupted. And if you go against it, it's destructive. Consider this predicament the toughest, but we believe in a system fit for justice. Child Protective Services only pretends to save it. The one solution for this is worthy of instant praises. 30 years of experience with relentless cases. Allow me to introduce them. This is Vincent Davis, defending you when they don't think a mother fits the role. Is it juvenile dependency or government control? Observe the pain in their eyes. It's time for us to realize we are the last ones left. Put your faith in